Hey everyone, I have Rye Smith from Sprick Digital with me today. So Rye, I have other SEOs on my channel, people that I've known in the industry, but I'm starting a new series and you are the first guest of this new series and you are the first guest, an SEO that I'm having on the show that I've never actually spoken to before. So I'm like, I know nothing about you. I
Blind
just see a
date.
post on, it's a blind, and this can go as awkward as a blind date, all right? Or it could be absolutely
It's
sensational.
not.
But
It's not you. It's me. I won't return the text messages. I won't ghost you, Andrew. How's that? That's
mate, I've got thick skin. It's all right. So I've got no actual idea how this is going to go. I'm not
that's
prepared. I
good.
don't have questions.
I love it.
But tell me a little bit about you first. We got a lot back off air. We talked about a lot of interesting shit that we want to get on air.
Yep.
But just tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me how you got into the SEO industry. We can take this any way in direction you want to go. You're the guest, right? So that's called Greek hospitality, yeah? We'll take it any way you like to go. And just tell me a little bit
Awesome.
about yourself and how you got into SEO.
Yeah, fantastic. So I'm a massive nerd. So I started in the world of IT, web design, and all that fun stuff back in the late '90s. So if you remember, even before the age of MySpace, Neopets was a website. I was probably 12, and you used to be able to customize your profile and put MIDI files on there and GIFs and all that. So sort of fell in
Was it
love
like a
with.
GeoCities?
It was almost, well, I was doing GeoCities websites as well, but there was sort of, a little bit of that kind of creativity involved. And yeah, it's just really, really fun. And sort of fell in love with it sort of after that. So very early on, this would have been like, we're talking, oh, sorry.
Are you good?
Sorry, mate. There we go. Spotify just kicked in. Rob Thomas started playing. Sorry about that. So started very, very early on, and mum and dad had a cleaning business at the time. So this would have been the early 2000s, and so I built them a website, and they were all really happy with that. And as I sort of went through high school, I started, tinkering with the website until Google obviously became a big thing. And one day their just phone started just ringing off the hook, and they're like, what the hell's going on? We're getting all this business coming in, da-da-da. And I was sort of standing sheepishly in the corner, and I'm like, I've done some stuff with the SEO and getting you all these leads. So it actually transformed mum and dad's business overnight, SEO. So I've sort of had a bit of a love affair with it ever since then, because as you would know, businesses, if they get this stuff right, it is make or break. And I think you got a bit of a case study that I've seen on LinkedIn about the fact that, if it's done poorly, it can make such a big difference to, whether a business survives or thrives. And so then essentially after that, followed me all the way through school, did odd jobs. When I was 12, my first job was $600 website for a company my dad was working for, which was pretty cool. And then, went out on my own about 10 years ago, first business out in the wild, and just sort of been running agencies and doing the whole, backwards and forwards between in-house agency. I've sold an agency, I've built up agencies, and then a few months back decided to go all in again after sort of seeing what's out there in the industry, and we'll deep dive into all that. But it's back out into the SEO world again. So
would you
big
say
digital
your
native.
story? That's awesome. Would you say your story is kind of like web design, which is very similar to mine? So that's exactly how I started, right? Diploma in web development. So you actually migrated from web design into SEO about 10 years ago?
About that, I mean, I still tinker. So with the sort of advent of AI tools, I'm sort of spinning up websites and playing around with different frameworks now, which is great fun. But look, I'm creative, but I've never been good with Photoshop or anything like that. And I think these days, in order to create like a really good brand and visual, I think you need the skills there, which have probably surpassed me. But in terms of the technical stuff, I mean, massive interest in that. So started back the GeoCities websites, and would do websites for soccer clubs that I was playing for, or cricket clubs.
Nice.
And it's just it was a good creative outlet, but also from a technical perspective back then, it was a lot more, hands-on in terms of code. And I think that from an SEO perspective, I think if you've got that base, it's a cheat code to doing this sort of stuff really well.
So what was some of the big things you noticed in SEO when you sort of started? 10 years ago, I'm assuming that would have been around 2015.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been Penguin or Hummingbird era.
Yep.
Maybe around.
Look, I mean, I'll take it even back sort of, 20, 25 years, and it's, all the black hat, grey hat stuff you used to be able to chuck suburbs online and then or hide the text or hide the colour. And it was honestly the glory days, right? When you actually got reports back on, authority score and page score, and you'd have, little plugins that would tell you. And then obviously over the years, that's just...
The browser plugins. They were fantastic.
Yeah, they were great in Internet Explorer. And just over the years, obviously that's been sort of eroded. And, our jobs have probably become sort of harder and harder. To be fair, we get less visibility from Google. They don't tell us. They'll change things on a whim and we get left in the dark. So it's, look, I don't particularly like Google per se. And I think if you're in SEO, you don't have to like Google. So, in the last 10 years, to your point, I think the biggest change for me has been, I thought there was a massive active community with Google. I thought they actually did really well communicating. And then over the last, again, even sort of 3-4 years, we've been treated with so much, disdain, and it's almost like we're a pain more than a resource. And it's so we're battling fires on that front, but also sort of industry wide pressures too.
Yeah. And how are your clients finding the AI sort of transformation at the moment? Because I think SEO right now is going through, like I said, it'll be 20 years soon for me, right? So, and I would say this is probably, well, I always tell people the biggest transformations in Google in SEO is when there's an actual shift in how we consume content and how we consume it. So the user behavior, once that shifts and changes, so the mobile era was probably a massive shift as well. But I'm seeing so for me, I'm looking at these algorithms. I don't see, for me, historically, algorithms being so much of a issue in my experience, to be honest. Yeah. And I think Google got better over time as well in certain areas.
Yep.
But in terms of, us searching for things on Google with our mobile was a major shift in how we built sites, was a major shift in how we did things. And I would say AI is not only the biggest, it's probably the biggest shift in my time. That's how I feel about it.
Well, I remember looking through those reports, like, 2016, 2017, and you'd actually go from, and this happened within the space of probably 12 to 18 months. I remember you used to be able to open up GA and you'd have 60% desktop, 40% mobile traffic. And then over the course of, like 6, 12, 18 months, like that not just flipped, but then started going into that, the other direction. So now you're looking down the barrel at, obviously depends on sort of what sites you're looking at, a 70-30 split of mobile to desktop. And that happened so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely it did. And that for me is always comes down to when clients ask me about SEO, I don't tell them what I've realized, maybe because I'm neuro, I try to connect dots in my brain, right? So, like I know I don't want to lose them. So I try to break it down for them in analogy. Yep. So I'm like, whatever we do for SEO, and this has been my sort of mantra since I started my business in 2012, whatever we do, if it's good for your business, it will be good for SEO.
Yeah, correct.
And what you do in the offline world, your connections, your relationships, what does that look like? Well, that will translate into links. How to become authority, being an educator. Are you somebody that people looks up to? Well, that will also transform or translate into links. The technical side is we're laying the foundation, we're improving the site saturation, visibility.
Yep.
That's temporary. We can only go so far.
Yep.
But once we start working on the content and making, what do we want links? We want people, we want links because we want your business to be an authority.
Yeah.
And a
just on the linking front, though, and I think you raised a really good point here, and I've got some massive thoughts on this. What does backlinking look like today for you in that sense? Because I've spent a bit of time with agencies as I've done the toing and froing sort of in-house, out-of-house, and it I was a little bit shocked, to be honest with you, to see what massive agencies are doing, and I think clients would be shocked to see where their money is going as well. A lot of these so-called Australian-based, all onshore agencies, seeing so much money not just go overseas, but how their brands are actually being replicated on some of these junk blogs, even though they might have high, authority. I mean, what's your take on that? Because I think links is probably like the most contentious topic in SEO for mine.
Oh, mate, you've raised the hair on my arms, and there's a lot of hair on my arms to raise. So, look, it's very contentious. I think look, it's business. I think that's at the heart of the decision making, right? So you've got these larger SEO agencies with bigger margins, more difficult margins to make money, and they've got massive overheads. So when you give them $3,000 or $4,000 a month, and you want them to build content, well, now let's say what it really is, about $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, right?
Yep.
That's just some of these more average budgets now, which is just ludicrous to me, right? But for $2,000 to $3,000, and you're expecting them to build content, to build links, to do the technical, to do the analytics. Like, I mean, first of all, we need to define what the role of the SEO even is now, because that's a whole topic. Maybe there's a whole discussion in of itself, right? Who's actually? But for me, yes, it's agencies doing a lot of bad work. I think partly because clients are also trying to be cost effective, if one way of putting it nicely, and not really. The SEOs aren't educated, not telling them what they need to. What you brilliantly said, I'm exactly the same. As soon as someone asks me for a proposal, I say, you don't want to see my proposal. If I'm going up against another agency with a proposal, forget about it, because my proposal sucks. The proposal is, you're talking to me right now. Yep. That is the proposal. You're dealing with someone with 20 years experience almost. This is what you're going to get, right? Mm-hmm. Ask me anything you like. Right, that's the proposal.
Not these proposals that have 20 pages talking about their team and their wonderful office. We just get straight into it.
My proposal doesn't look like it certainly doesn't look like a Christmas tree with the bells, mate. So it looks like a dog's breakfast. My proposals, but I'm hoping that the information's different. So to answer your question, I think I wanted to start an SEO commission with 4 of my SEO buddies in the industry. Mm-hmm. Right, that I trust, that I've known for a hell of a long time. Everyone, they didn't want to do it for various reasons, right? Mm-hmm. The point is there has to be an authority of some sort. I don't want the government to be the authority because they don't know nothing about SEO, right? So I don't want them to be the authority. Crikey, that's worse. That will lead us down a worse path than we're already on. But there needs to be a authority. There needs to be like a set of rules. But also, when I speak to the average client, like you said, they don't know really what a quality link is. I always talk like this at the same time, Rye. It's not 2013 anymore. There is an abundance of information out there on what quality SEO looks like. There's a lot of good talkers and speakers and people on YouTube that I kind of don't want to push a lot of SEO content on there because I'm thinking there's already a hell of a lot of good stuff out there. Yeah. I might throw my perspective on things every now and then, but even with 20 years experience, I'm thinking, look, there's no excuse anymore. Mm-hmm. Like they need to know what this stuff is because it is a matter of the life or death of their business and their livelihood, right? So in the agency's defense of building bad links is they've got a lot of staff. Do I think it's wrong and unethical? 100%. And what do these links look? I'm still seeing the private blog networks. I'm still seeing the Web 2.0 spam. Some of the link buildings I've just seen, I mean, I do a lot with jewelers. Some of these SEO agencies that are building links for jewelers, I'm like, I try to tell these clients, where do you actually think this link building is going to go, guys? Like, I want to ask the agencies the same question. What's the end game here for you guys? Like,
I think you've raised, for me anyway, you've raised two really good points in terms of the bit of an SEO authority. We'd love to let's unpack that, but then also in terms of the backlinking, this stuff unfortunately works, right? I think we're in this sort of era where Google says one thing, but then we test and we learn and we go, well, hang on, this actually works. We're not getting penalized. This works. And hang on. And from an agency perspective, they can charge for it because they can show results. So I feel like it's this weird kind of balance between, you know what, it looks crap, it smells crap, but guess what? If we do it, it works. And that seems to be the most, I guess, effective way of, getting a site ranking is some of those PBNs or some of those links, and it's that balance between, hang on, is it ethical, is it the right thing to do, the client's chomping at the bit, there's just such
correct.
a gray area.
That for me, the client chomping, so I'm not trying to dig out the bad agency for doing bad work. They need to be held accountable. And I think there was a few stories out there where you thought on the news media that it could have been heading that way for certain people, right? But the clients are chomping at the bit to get results. So you've got the pressure from the client, you've got low budgets, you've got staff, and you've got overheads. And while I do think there's a lot of donkey SEOs out there, I also do think there is legitimate SEOs out there that want to get results, that are forced into this corner to do the bad work because they're generally under pressure and they feel like they're at the mercy of their boss and at the clients. And so
I think there's a distinction with bad work though too, in terms of like in backlinking. I mean, let's be honest. If I get backlink and that improves client site, that's okay, no problems. But like we were saying before, I think people would be shocked to learn where these websites are, who's being paid for these, and what the margin is on some of these backlinks too. So it's an idea that I've had for a long time, and hear me out here, so we're going to sort of theorize on air, is at last check, other than, money.9 now or 9honey or whatnot on their subdomains, doesn't really seem to be a PBN in Australia. It's all overseas. And I think that's the other thing too, is I don't think I've seen anything to date that really, outside of the major publishers, is a sort of network of blog sites really that you can kind of get listed on, unless I've been hiding under a rock and I'm not on an email list somewhere. But they all seem to be .coms or .bizes or .cos, all hosted overseas. So it's that's what I think I would like to see. I mean, hell, if PBNs are the way to go, if that's how we have to do it, Google, it'd be great to have it locally. Have a local Australian gardening blog for your garden client to actually have some legitimate content on there. Awesome, rather than this stuff looking like spam and looking like crap, because it's that. Again, does it work? Will it work? It's bit of a test and learn, but
I think SEOs also, I mean, you would be careful with the PBNs in all, because I don't feel like anyone would really do them well.
No.
And if Google, I mean, it's one of those things where, hey, look, if I get 4 or 5 links from legitimate sites, is that going to help? I mean, whether you call that a PBN, if these sites are building legitimate content and they're generating legitimate links and they're not a link farm, right, and they're only linking out a few times, and they're generally only linking to higher authority sites, not just seem to be just linking out to car sites and their guide. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you could call something like a PBN like that, and would it get results? Well, of course it would, because what are they doing differently if they're generating high-quality links themselves, they're producing high-quality content, they're user-centric first, and they just got this advertising part of their business to help them generate income. Well, how does Google know what a sponsored link looks like if it's not even written as sponsored?
Bingo. Yep, correct. Yeah.
So how will they know? As long, but when you're going to be careful, because when you say PBN in Australia, people are going to start looking at like what a PBN is.
I think my definition of PBN is group of sites where you can grab some nice links from. And I just don't think it's done really well in Australia. You remember how there used to be magazine groups? So, again, the death of the magazine. But 15 years ago, you'd have APC, who would actually own, they'd have PC magazine, that have Women's Weekly, that have all these different sort of categories or your interest groups. You don't outside of the major media players who have everything on their subdomain. I think that's a massive opportunity for a media group or an agency to actually spin up. Hey, let's put out some really good content and let's actually use that as a bit of a backlinking sort of.
I mean, if you have a
place.
look at like they're doing it in the fashion space, so you will have obviously like a group of syndication of sites, and they will come and approach me or my clients and say, "Hey, look, are you interested in advertising? Here's our like 5 or 6 sites. It will charge like 25 grand, and basically we'll put your link in an article, be followed, blah 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 blah." But I'm like, but here's the thing, right? If you have a look, because I do so much work in competitive niches, like jewelry, it's never going to be enough because you still have link velocity as a metric. Okay, and if you start dealing with bigger clients, like you look at Michael Hill, for example, or a Prouds, or they get links naturally at a certain velocity, although not always relevant in terms. It could be from Westfields, or it could be but they're getting a link at a velocity rate, okay, because of just who they are. And so with I find with these super competitive niches, velocities is as important as where the link's actually coming from themselves. And the only way you're going to get a velocity is you've got to look also a little bit beyond SEO and start thinking also business and marketing and diversifying the channels a little too, right? I think the days of, like, if you're in competitive niches like jewelry, like fashion, I would have every day of the week, give me a site with a massively strong social media profile, and I'll transform that brand on SEO. Give me a site with a good SEO profile without the velocity in 6 months with a weak social media profile, and that's going to be an uphill battle.
Struggle. Yeah.
So it's going to be a struggle. And I learned that with Larson, right? So Larson was my baby for a decade, right? And we would rank first for engagement rings. And what I quickly realized is, guess what? Even when we ranked first for engagement rings, and I won't swear just in case we're streaming live to LinkedIn, I went bald over that campaign to get first for engagement rings. What I realized is the amount of time and effort and money, it didn't have yes, it had a benefit. Of course it did. But it didn't have the benefit in which you felt like it would at the time, because guess what, Rye? The girls didn't know where Larson was. We didn't have a strong social media profile. And I used to argue with the marketing manager and tell them we need to get more aggressive on social. This is coming from the SEO guy. And I'm ranking first for engagements. I don't really need to say anything to anybody, right? I can go fishing now for 2 months and my job is done. You can still pay me, right? But I'm like, you know what I noticed, Rye? And one of the 2 big mistakes that I made in that time, the girls still, guess who they wanted to see? They still typed in engagement rings, and our impressions went, but our CTR went down. Our average, our CTR went down dramatically because guess what? We started ranking for top keywords, but the girls didn't know who we are. They see Larson, then they see Tiffany, then they see Bulgari. Who are they
clicking on? Absolutely. So that's that power of brand. I mean, I think this is awesome.
It's incredible.
Segue into the AI space. I think this is like probably the best little.
Before we go there, I just wanted to end on that point where yes, branding. You brought back like where I see everything going. It's in fact that's where I see this marketing going. Right.
Yeah.
So what I would prefer clients to kind of focus on, I think where the bigger, like if you want to be a great SEO, which I'm sure you are, great SEO, not just you, in general, you're thinking about you're not building content for keywords. You're building content for intent. You're building content for brand. You're building content for engagement. You're building content for media exposure. You want to build relationships with journalists. It's going deeper. And like all the AI metrics is still going to run off brand.
Correct. Yep.
Game over.
Yeah.
And so the brands and the businesses, and what I'm hoping AI will do, and I'll shut up, Brian, you can take it. I'm hoping I told you I'm neuro. You get me started.
I
Like,
love it. No, this is great, mate. The energy's
the
infectious.
passion will just rage,
I love
right?
it. This is awesome.
So where I think what I'm hoping AI will do will give the little jewelers, except like I'm just using them as the analogy here. I'm hoping to see them given an opportunity where creativity is propelled, whereas whether they might have the creativity historically, but they struggled on the execution because that's where it costed a lot of money. So what I'm hoping with AI is it bringing down the execution costs, and then helping entrepreneurs and smarter company. Because I always say that my best clients are the best company, the best entrepreneurs. Yeah, it's just ironically it falls that way. Yeah. Best entrepreneur, that's where I think a big part of where it's going as well. The SEOs don't talk about that in the proposal. How fucking good are you as an entrepreneur, right? They want to talk about their fucking team, but they don't want to talk about how good their actual, hey, how good are you at actually running a company, right? So I think what I'm hoping with AI is giving the small guy a chance to reduce execution costs. And it basically comes down to your intellectual property and your creativity and your out of the box thinking. I'm hoping that when people talk to me about AI, I'm like, well, if AI does that, we're going to see a massive shift in the economy, because now excellence and entrepreneurial skill and creativity will be rewarded. And people that can just have big wallets like the Woolworths, they can just keep transforming into the next or migrating to the next medium. They're going to realize that, hey, we actually going to have to think about things differently. That's what I'm hoping we see.
I think with what you're saying though, I think this is such a, and not just SEO, just in terms of, like you're saying, across the economy. I know from my perspective, AI, people go, what's your superpower? And, you know, we all have our own independent thoughts. We've all got our own creativity. We've all got our own ideas. For me, my superpower at the moment is AI, because I can actually go from what's in here out to an actual MVP or a prototype or whatever it is that I'm working on. We're talking like minutes as opposed to days now. And we're talking like automated systems that, you know, might update meta descriptions, or automated systems that are posting on socials for me from other content out there, which is still valuable, which is saving me a hell of a lot of admin time. But there's also stuff that I've wanted to work on for ages too. We're talking, you know, little games and you know, websites that I've been sitting on for, I'm talking like sitting on it for years because of the lack of technical skills. And, you know, I've done the whole, many moons ago, did the whole outsourcing dev stuff overseas, and the quality was crap, constant issues coming backwards and forwards. It was, you know, you're project managing a team and, you know, you're not getting sort of much done. You've got a real good vision in here as to how you want it done. And now with things like Claude, I'm a massive Claude user. I can build all this stuff now. It's there. It's so, to your point about supercharging this stuff and getting, you know, the creativity there. I don't need a developer. I've got enough of a background in what I've done, and I understand database design and those sorts of things, that, you know, I've now got the tools to build this stuff that I wasn't able to before. And then, you know, I guess mapping that all back to digital marketing, you know, wish this was around a couple of years ago when GA4 came on the scene. So it's just, you know, I've written quite a bit about this too, is it's not going to be the tech people who win in this war. I think it's actually going to be the creative and artistic people. I really do. And this is what a lot of people in the arts don't actually understand and realize, is what their superpower is. Their superpower is being able to write, and their superpower is being able to be very specific and out of the box thinking. And some of the best stuff you get from AI is all because of the prompt. So the stuff coming out of Nano Banana at the moment, you know, the stuff that I put into Claude, I get lazy. I just type a one line sentence and it spits out a bit of junk, and it's like, oh, all right, look, let's go and plan it. Let's put a nice prompt together. Oh, and voila, I've got what I wanted first time around. So I think, you know, the creative industry and being able to kind of put together a well-written, detailed prompt is going to, you know, get you that sort of end goal. So it, like, to your point, it's going to bring down time to market, but it's also bridging the whole kind of the technical and the creative side. And I think we're going to find that, we're meeting in the middle sort of more often than not. But you and I are having this talk, but I just feel like the world is still a couple of years behind, especially in bigger organizations who have still got people using Copilot from Microsoft, for goodness sakes. I've used Copilot and it's like it's had a car accident and its frontal lobes not in a great condition versus Claude and Codex and whatnot. So I feel really sorry for the people stuck in these big enterprises whose first interaction with AI is Copilot, or they use the free version of ChatGPT, because if they paid the $20, $30 a month, they literally get a second brain for them. And it's funny. It's crazy.
It's just the next level, man.
Yep.
And using it, like, people are still using these AI tools, like, like for fun, and there's like, they're not seeing the forest for the trees, right? Like, where is this going, right? How do you think, I'm going to put you on the spot, right? Because I like to do that with people. Like, sorry, this is what I do. You can put me on the spot. How do you think the small business can, I mean, if you're talking to a small business owner today, I've just got a lead the other day, like this property management company has got like 4 pages. They asked me to sort of do like a Loom video and explain what I would do.
Yep.
So I did that. I sent it to them. How would you help a sort of like a small business, like let's say property management type, whatever, right? Finance services, asset management, whatever. How would you, if they've got like 4 or 5 page website, how do you target IA? Do you look at, would you just focus on them using AI? Where would you go to help them to, like, if they were like, look, we're not getting any visibility, how do you kind of help the smaller guys? Do you just give them tools to use and subscriptions?
Yeah, good question. I mean, it's classic SEO response. It depends, right? And to your point before, though, I think it all comes back to business goals, right? So it's the, are we just going to build content out for content's sake? Probably not. I think from a small business perspective, what I see a lot is really shit social media, right? And especially from a wording perspective. And if anyone's going to be watching this or listening on, please do not use ChatGPT images in your social. It's AI slop. It looks horrible. It's got that real brown sort of tinge to it. It's awful. Please don't do it, because you're actually doing more harm to your brand and business than anything else. But from a wording perspective, absolutely. Like it's people will. I do a lot of stuff with hospitality and hotels and wineries and restaurants. And the first place people will look is your Instagram page. So it's, there's something that I can't help with, and that's imagery, and that's so often overlooked. I know it has to happen. So, but not leaning on AI for that. That's the single most authentic thing you can do for your business, is to get the real deal happening. So in a world of AI, that's what I would say, no. But it's also the wording, and it's also what you're crafting in terms of your message too. So, if you're not great with the English language, or you don't know what to come up with, I think ChatGPT and those tools are great from an ideation point of view. But don't copy and paste it, right? Get rid of the M dashes, get rid of the quotation marks. If you work around it long enough, and I'm sure you can spot it from a mile away. And, using these AI tools for anything content related on a website is also a pretty bad idea, because Google and co are pretty good at picking that stuff up too. So my biggest, I guess, insight with a lot of these businesses is use it as a tool, not a crutch and a thing that you rely on. But to your point regarding kind of SEO sort of more specifically, what I'm finding, at least anyway, is working in terms of, say, AI visibility, is being authoritative and is writing about the topic or service that you offer, and being really detailed in that. So let's say you're a property manager and you want to talk about, how do I choose the best property manager? I find that talking locally about it is a great idea. So if you're in the southern suburbs of Adelaide and that's your catchment area, try and stick to that and try and be that kind of authoritative figure in that particular region. I find that AI locally does really, really well in terms of sort of matching and giving options for that specific catchment rather than trying to tackle the whole state, the whole of Victoria. Keep to your little pockets and then sort of build out from there. And one of the biggest takeaways, and this works honestly every time, if you've got a set of blogs, I'll say this to anybody watching on, if you've got a set of blogs, summarize them at the top. Like the table of contents is literally the quickest way to get into the AI overviews, but into ChatGPT too. Like it is, I feel like it's a bit grey hat in terms of, like, we were talking about this 25 years ago, hiding your suburbs on a page works. This is exactly it. Table of contents at the top of the blog, summarizing it, because as the crawlers come through, this, but as the crawlers come through, they're looking for a bit of an overview as to what it's about. They don't want to consume a bunch of content. If you can make their job easy at the top of the page, happy days. So that's a hack, I guess, at the moment. That's a tactic. So in terms of that, but I guess to your strategy piece, 4 or 5 page websites. Look, I always sort of recommend that you want to sort of, expand that and build that over time if you can. Topic clustering. So again, another sort of proven topic on this is, if you are talking about property management, let's say you are a real estate company and you've got property management division, you've got, buyer's agents or an auctioneer's service, you really want to try and kind of, create little homes for that content and then branch that out. So, and you'd be amazed at, again, you're probably not amazed because you've probably seen it in the wild, but the amount of businesses that don't even do that aspect of it correctly is crazy. And again, that's probably where I'd sort of lean into a little bit of the AI tools. Use it as a base. Use it as a really good starting point to craft some content. And then what you really want to do is just sort of localize it and sort of talk about it, because in this age of AI, authenticity and originality, and people like you and me, mate, we're actually going to win, because you see on LinkedIn, people are churning out, comment SEO to get my playbook. And you can read it. The SEO playbook that they're trying to sprout is all AI generated. It's absolute crap, right? So in order to be able to stand out, and I think this probably transcends SEO, is if your business is constantly putting out AI slop, you're just going to get absolutely left in the dust. It's about trying to change the way that you're thinking about AI and not using it the way that the media is telling us it's being used for. And that's, again, where the biggest wins are coming from. If you've sat on a business idea, use AI to help kind of streamline and automate your process. Like it's not just a content machine. It's hang on, this thing can actually build me stuff and spit out working code that I can use to automate processes in my business. I can, build that little program to help with the finance team or the accounting. It is a different way of thinking, and that's why I think the creatives of the world are going to win out of this big time.
Well, I think for AI, there's a lot of rhetoric. People ask me about AI. Everyone asks about AI now, right? And I'm just like, listen, there is so much rhetoric on LinkedIn. I would probably put down 85% of it as conjecture, right? And that's the nice thing to say about it. Probably a lot of bullshit, right? The 3 things that I've seen work for myself with the case study is the TLDRs, the key takeaways, the list formats, the digital PR. It's not so far. It isn't anything groundbreaking. Anything that falls outside of like someone writing, this works. I'm like, cool. You might be right. Show me a case study. Can't show me. So it's like, you need to start, like, you can't, otherwise you can just say, in my opinion, these things work. I don't have any, sometimes I'm all about trusting the gut instinct. Yep. I've noticed my gut's got me out of a lot of battles over the years, but it's not, and avoiding horror shows as well. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't, unless you've got the proven facts. So But everything you said, man, I think it's. Here's
a little hack. I've actually used this for a couple of little businesses, and when I experiment, I only ever do it on my personal projects or websites I'm doing for my mates for freebies, or a bit of a favor, because I've actually seen a lot of agencies use or experiment with clients who are paying, and I think that's just it boggles my mind. Like, you would not get away with that in any other industry. But that's an aside. Asking ChatGPT, especially for a brand new website. I've actually just done a website for a nice pizza shop in Geelong, Tillage Pizza. Thank you for the shout out. And at brand new website, yeah, exactly. Put the little screen up. And asking ChatGPT, what's the best pizza in Geelong? Absolutely nowhere. So then I asked it, I've heard about this place. What do you think? Oh, yes, you're absolutely right. Thank you. Tell me more. And so I put that to the test. So, asking it and training it. And I've got a couple of friends to then go, what's the best pizza in Geelong? Look, it's popped up to the top. So I think there might be something there at the moment where it gets committed to memory or something. And so, yeah, I feel like we're in the age of grey hat, black hat with this AI stuff all over again.
It's like SEO in 2007 again, when like 2006 when I started, playing around with meta keywords. I mean, that's exactly where we are. And meta keywords was fun. It was a lot of fun. I think because when I started as a developer, I never used meta keywords in my entire life. Why would I put anything meta on a page? You can't see it. It's just. I always found it was a waste. It was just code that was a waste of time.
Do you think that? Just to your point, then, do you think that's like? And I've encountered this too.
Run a case study.
Well, do you think there's like a developer disconnect in terms of SEO still?
100%.
Yeah.
And I saw that with my client that went out of business. And I think there's a big disconnect oftentimes as well between people you've been working with for like. Here's what my problem was when I was working with clients for 7-8 years. Yep. Maybe just taking for granted that they know more about it than I think they do. Because when a developer comes in and says, "Get out of the way, let me do it," and then have 80,000 404 broken pages.
Now that was a client that you looked after quite some time ago, wasn't it? From when we were having a chat earlier. Yeah, it was. And I put up plenty of information on it.
Now, I think partly this business has gone bad as well because it's just, unfortunately, this business just got too big and became a beast that he couldn't handle. But when I look back, so 2013, I used, for Screaming Frog, Rye, we went through a massive 500,000 URL site migration. Can you believe I didn't lose any traffic when we relaunched it?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Actually, I think it actually grew by about a couple of thousand. It wasn't nothing, but I didn't really see it as it growing by a couple of thousand. I saw it as we just saved like 40,000 because I had become known as the URL preservation guy. Not the SEOs. They've got like itchy trigger finger to redirect URLs. I don't like fair one redirects. I'm not a fan of them.
Nope. So
I don't think they do what everyone thinks they do.
No.
And they get a lot worse when you start doing domain redirects. They don't. You could do anyway.
Well, I can tell you. I was going to say that just to that point though. It's
preserving pages.
Well, preserving the page, but it's amazing the decisions that get made even at like the top enterprise level of domain switchovers. Just really quickly, I worked for a business that changed their brand. So they went from one domain that was up for about 15, 20 years, and some genius in the IT department decided to rebadge to another domain without telling anyone, and then switched over. And it's like, why aren't we getting any leads coming in now? Well, it's because you've got a fresh domain and you're not getting listed for any of those keywords that you had domination for, which kind of sounds a bit the same as, some of the stuff that you've encountered over the years. But yeah, URL preservation rather than 301ing the lot is just
if there's a business case, like I've even recommended clients get off a 10, 12-year-old domain if I do believe there's a brand. Sometimes I get like websites where literally it's like engage at ring Sydney Australia.com.au, and they've had that for 20 years. I'm like, well, if you want to become a brand, you're going to need to change that. That's inevitable. But when you're dealing with a site, most of the time I've done that, I'm dealing with a site that already has no traffic anyway. To do that with a site that's getting 86, 90,000, you really got to have some business discussions there before you start changing it. But I think, again, what I learned with Last and Jewelry, and I've said this on LinkedIn, and even SEOs that I trust said, Andrew, I'm not sure I agree with you on that one. That's fine. But for me, Ahrefs and SEMrush, they still, do you remember the old PageRank? Bro, that was legit. And what was it called, Rye? PageRank. Was it domain rank?
No,
or was it PageRank?
PageRank.
Page. Google works on page authority. What people, and you might disagree with me, and that's fine too. what I've learned from my migrations, the ones that were unsuccessful or ones that I lost traffic in the early days, was I was careless. Oh, we'll just redirect everything, right? We'll keep the same number of internal links. We'll keep the same number of content. We're not changing in terms of, we're not dropping important pages to going from, 70, 80 internal links down to 20 internal links, et cetera, et cetera. They're all still contextually linked. They're all topically linked, et cetera, et cetera. So the IA as a whole is still, it was still staying the same, but I was just careless with the 301s. Believing things because I've been told in the industry, not believing shit because it's based on my experience and own personal
well, this'll
experiments.
This will shock you. So I've go on.
I was just going to say I was just going to end with, I'm not a fan of domain authority in the way people think about it.
Yep.
And I do believe Ahrefs, although I know where these tools should focus on, competitor analysis, because I can't see my competitor data. Outside of competitor analysis, including keyword analysis, that's fine. I'll kind of put that all under the competitor analysis brand. When they start putting all these bullshit metrics in, right? Like, okay, news.com.au has a high DA. Well, no shit. It has a ton of links to pages.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've seen a spammy. So I basically put down. We got a lot of negative attention on LinkedIn from SEOs. You're full of shit. I just put down DA and DRs is there to sell SEO software.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's a.
So okay, so you agree with me? Okay, I've got SEOs.
100% I do. 100% I do. It's
you think Google uses DA and DR?
No. It's a proprietary metric.
Not in the way that.
Correct.
It's a proprietary metric.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was my argument, and it was almost like I shot the sacred cow.
Mate, I think there's a lot of there's a lot of the wrong voices to your point very much earlier. I think we've been doing this for 20, 25 years, right? We know what we're talking about, but you won't get listed in the top 20 SEO. You won't get listed in the top SEO voices and all this sort of stuff. But I can tell you right now that a lot of these people who are banging on and going to these conferences and talking about this stuff, they haven't been on the tools for a very long time at all. I mean, there's a few exceptions, and I think personally, the Aussie SEOs are the doers, and I think you've got your Brody Clarks and co of the world who are still in the nitty gritty. But what happens with a lot of these sort of evangelical SEO types is they get so far away from the day to day that all they're doing is parroting what Google wants to tell them to get out there. And so it's again. And then you've got clients who are listening to all of this stuff and not actually understanding in the real world that, hang on, like things are done a little bit differently. And I think there's that a little disconnect. But to your point as well, I think, again, disconnects left, right, and center is, brands that undergo these rebadges or redesigns. And to your point about retaining pages, I've seen it. I've been involved in it. Websites with 8,000 pages and these, again, UXs or designers going, oh, no, we're going to reduce it all down. Here's the page. And you're looking at these designs where the SEO hasn't even been consulted. And you're like, okay, cool. Well, where do you want to put all this content that currently exists on this wonderfully performing page? Where are the links? Where are the internal links? You've replaced all of the links with read mores or click here's. And there's just like, even in the biggest of businesses, billion-dollar businesses, they're not getting this stuff right. And it's, maybe it's just one of those, things that we need to get used to. But I think there's a much better way of doing things, and it's just...
I actually want to get off. I remember during all my spares time, I used to have an office in Oran Park. Basically, where the second air, you're from Victoria. So the second, basically where my office was based was basically, when the new Sydney airport is coming?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the Western Sydney airport.
Yep.
I was only that office was only 20 minutes away from that, right?
Yep.
I used to have an office just to crawl. Here's what now I don't want to get too, I'm going to lose to
No, this is good.
Our audience is not SEOs. Our audience are business people, right? So I don't want to get dug in the weeds. But I used to have I used to bring my gaming tower, and I'm talking it was remember the old in 2019, 20, remember the big giant gaming towers with the dual GPUs and shit, right?
Yep.
And you had to have all the airflow because I was a Thai ass and you want to pay for.
Yep.
I was a tight ass. I didn't pay for nitrogen cooling and all that shit, right? Keep it at -20, whatever the fuck it is. So I just had all these fans with the air. There was a good thing about that air. That office was just air. It was so cold and it was beautiful. You know what? I was using Screaming Frog to send me reports before AI. It was just basically lines of script and terminal code, just sending reports. What I was doing, so with the migration, I could tell you 3 or 4 things that I did that sounds on the surface very simple, but then you actually have to go through 500,000 URLs and make sure that developers just don't run off on their they're getting a bit crazy and frustrated. Timelines are getting shorter. The clients, asking when is this going to get, launched, and there's all pressure. So I didn't want to make them, fall out of their SEO scope that I've put together, right? So I would how many SEOs, have brought their gaming tower for the sole purpose, because I had 48 gig on it, right? Done, and it's just basically 40 gig of just memory site calls. Now, Screaming Frog, to be fair, is a memory hog, so it needs to work on that. I've been emailing the owner. He's got to do something. It's still a bit of a memory hog. It's gotten better. Anyway.
I feel sorry for the, I'll say enterprise SEOs where your IT team only gives you 4 or 8 gig of RAM to run your
site crawls
to your laptop, and then it's like, hang on, once you fire Screaming Frog up, that's it. It's burnt. You're not doing anything else on that laptop for the rest of the day.
Then you got to use like a cloud base, which like Loom is pretty good. But anyway, I don't want to get down that road. But anyway, it was crawling. Like, it was comparing. I was just continuously crawling the dev, and they even messaged me going, like, you're killing our server. Like,
what's going on?
What the fuck is this guy doing? He smashed. I was smashing my live server, and it was just all it was doing was in terminal was just like comparing URLs, right? The number of internal links, other titles and descriptions changing, the number of words on the page, and it was just basically calculating.
Yep.
So to preserve page authority.
Yep.
That was literally it. So it was basically. And so we went from XCart. I don't know if you're familiar with XCart.
No.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's why I'm bored. So we're moving from XCart to Magento, and very different ways of handling the content. But all that to say that the amount I would have spent probably I never charged the client, probably about 1,000 to 1,500 hours.
Yeah, wow.
Of continuous. I wasn't paying the electricity bill, but it was just continuous crawling. Yep. And then sometimes, the computer would cark it, so it would crash, and so you had to do periodic backups. But I didn't lose any traffic. And then decides to say, thanks very much, Andrew, my developer's doing SEO now. See, that's the type of shit where the client doesn't fully appreciate that the developers are not going to do that.
No,
they're not going to.
I just think SEO is still massively misunderstood, and I feel, and I know you're on a very similar mission. We can sit here and say it's massively misunderstood, but I'm huge on education, and I really want to bring people, same as yourself, and bringing people along on this ride. And I think if any SEOs are listening and watching this, or digital marketers, it's bring your clients along for the ride in terms of the education piece, because your job becomes easier over time too. But what we do is we actually bring everybody up with us, right?
Correct.
Like it's been like a dark art for so long. And it's, not understanding backlinks. Oh, okay, yeah, that's just how Google does it. Or, and I've seen sort of explanations like that given, or really shitty monthly reports too. What did you do? What did you do for the month? Tell the client sort of what have you been up to? And in a lot of cases, I know for a fact they haven't done much at all. But I just think this industry needs to do better, because you would not get away with this in any other regulated industry. It is an unregulated area, and
Yeah.
like I
But
don't
just
like.
be careful how often we say that.
No, 100. Well, look, I mean, we don't.
I don't want the government to regulate it.
You don't want government intervention in this stuff, but it's
But there needs to be a authority.
Has to be something out there, because there's too many stories of clients not getting a good deal. So I guess any business watching this, in terms of what should you ask an SEO agency for? In my opinion, it's a really well structured, thought out plan. It's a commitment to looking at things like your backlinks and your content, but also not just the digital sphere. If your SEO agency or digital marketing agency is a bigger thing, if they're not asking you about your business goals or your sales or what's happening internally, you're not talking to the right person either, which goes back to our point before in terms of looking at bigger picture too. And from a reporting perspective, not just this went up and this went down and this keyword went up and this keyword went down. It's you really want to sort of know what people are doing, through the month. What are you actually paying for? And if you can get taken along for that, not a ride, if you can get taken along for the journey, in terms of cool, show me some of this stuff so I can actually help, build this collectively, I think is really important too. So, yeah.
Right, on that point, you said you hit the nail on the head. You said your job becomes easier. How it becomes easier? When you start working with a client like Larson for 10 years, before they go on The Bachelor, because I didn't know these deals happening behind the scenes, right? They start to ask you questions like, Andrew, when the smoke clears and no one's talking about Maddie-in-law anymore, how do we take full advantage for our SEO long term?
Yep.
I think, shout out to Lars, because from a client perspective in 20 years, that was the best question I've ever got asked. And I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to track down every single journalist. We're going to write a whole ton of stories. So when the smoke clears, the links are there.
You've got something to show. You've got something to show for it. Yeah.
The links are still fucking there, right?
Yeah.
And the competitors can see them, but very difficult to reverse engineer that. And I thought, to your point about if the job becomes easier, I think as SEOs, I think where the market is moving now, I think it's more consulting than hands-on anyway. I think you need to start working with clients based upon whatever their goals and objectives. People ask me all the time, what budget can you work with? I can work with any budget that matches your goals and ambition.
Yep.
If your wallet matches this, your mouth, we'll work together.
Yep.
The moment that this becomes bigger than what you're willing to pay, we don't work together anymore.
Yep.
So as long as your goals and ambitions, if they're not too competitive, then I'll do everything. You'd be better off with people like my ilk that I'm trying to meet every day, so I can pass on work to other people, right?
Yeah.
So we can all benefit together, right? If you're better at the service-based SEO than I am, I'd rather give it to you, right? And then you'll help me out. That's the kind of relationships I want to build, right? But I think I'm no longer working with clients if they don't have a team like I feel like my job as a 20-year SEO at this point is supplementary, complementary, strategic, top level, like getting
the guide.
looking at the guide, right? The roadmap. And actually what my PR team love about me is more of the mentoring.
Yep.
Right? So they're a bit younger. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but 40, I feel like I'm an old dog and
I
feel like when I go to the SEO, shout out to James Norquay and his SEO conferences, you should come up for one of them.
Is it Uncle Andrew in the room? Is it sort of, with all the younger folk?
When we go to these, to the real SEO conference after the conference, you know what I mean? where the drink, which I don't do alcohol, but when all the drinks start getting in and people start getting happy, and we start talking about the shit that you want to talk about, you look around you and I think, oh man, there's 20-year-olds. I just feel like I shouldn't be Nike. I shouldn't be here. But Uncle, the Godfather. I talk about the Godfather too.
That's even better.
The Godfather. I talk about him as well.
Godfather of SEO, done. We've got your brand sorted, mate. We've been talking about it for an hour. There we go. That could be another little campaign idea for you.
There's smarter. I think it's getting good SEOs. I think the best conference that we could ever put on, for me, is sitting in a room like a pub having really experienced SEOs and then letting businesses ask us questions. My mate is asking me, James, he's like, would you be interested in being on a panel or talking?
Yep.
I've got nothing to say. Let the businesses ask me questions.
Yeah.
They're getting a lot and I'm just going to bring it back to SEO, what I said at the start, it's business intelligence, it's entrepreneurial nous, it's all the technical side of it. Look, you look at all the big content sites like the BuzzFeed. Did they worry about technical SEO or did they build a brand to build? Say whatever, even if their content is crap, right? They still got a whole tons of links. Did they have a great link builder, Rye? No, they didn't. They had a good business model and a plan and an execution. Now, that may not always translate well to the everyday business, and that's why we have jobs. But the point is, when you're brand focused and understand that you are a branding company no matter what you do.
Yep.
I think and Google, I think we both don't like Google, but if Google can start building their algorithm. My dad is fished on my dad's fished on 3 different continents. He's 78 years old. He's Greek. He's fished in Asia. He's fished in Africa. He's fished in Europe and he's fished in Australia, right? For whatever. If he writes an article, how do I catch fish? I don't give a shit how many links he gets to that business or that page. That should outrank my article just because I know about SEO. I don't know jack all the shit about fishing, right? So why should my article with 50 links be outrank my dad who's fished for 50 years, fished on 4 different
authority
continents?
On it. Yep.
He's the authority. He is what Google should be looking for. And apparently they are. But I'm hoping that becomes better as well. So SEOs don't rank for content that they don't know fuck all about. Mm-hmm. And the actual authorities. And I think that's where I'm hoping, because you're not going to be worried about PBNs at that point.
We can only dream. We can only dream, mate. We can only dream.
So I think that's where we're going. So, Rye, you've got the closing. I don't want to take up any more of your time. We've been going for an hour.
That's good.
It's been absolutely fantastic. We'll definitely need to do a part 2. You've got the floor, the last 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you want to take. Say whatever you want to say.
Oh, look, mate, it's been good catching up. I know we've wanted to do this for quite some time. It's look, I think we're in probably the biggest seismic shift in tech and SEO and digital marketing that we've seen. And again, you have a very unique perspective. I'm 38, by the way, just to clear the age thing up. So been around it for ages like you have, and I don't think I've seen anything this big since the turn of the millennium, to be fair. There's lots to talk about being in an AI bubble. I don't think we've even gotten started yet. This is completely different, because I think the cost for people to get involved with, the age of the internet, you're talking $1,500 to $2,000 for a PC back then. This time around, for corporations to set up big AI systems, especially, self-hosted stuff, you're not talking $2,000, you're talking in the hundreds of thousands if they want to do self-hosted LLMs and RAG type setups. So we're a long way from that point, but I think people have this wonderful opportunity, again, SEO, digital marketing, web building, the whole thing, to your point, entrepreneurial type stuff. Now is the time. If you've been sitting on an idea or a concept or something you've wanted to build, now's the time to actually do it and put your money where your mouth is and actually get something up and going. So, people who have had businesses who haven't known how to do SEO, you can do it now with the help of these tools. You want to build a website that lists all your favorite soccer teams from around the world and does something special. Bang, you can do that. Oh, mate, I'm a Man United fan, so had I have known that, I might have reconsidered the invite. No, I'm kidding.
I got another podcast for you to come on, my Liverpool podcast.
The
That's a different discussion.
EPL podcast. Yeah. But no, I just think now's the time, because I've done a lot of consulting with businesses and startups and people on MVP and prototypes and that sort of stuff now. And, I put a video out a couple of months ago saying, if you've got a business idea, I would love to help you build it. And I had one person reach out, and I had 1,000 people watch it, right? So it's it's, and I know I'm maybe drifting off here a little bit, but people always say, "Oh, I wish I was a millionaire. Oh, I wish I had a great idea." It's a change in thinking, right? Like, now is your time to make money and to literally build that unicorn startup, or work on that website, or get something ranking, or improve your efficiency, or something that takes you 3 hours in a day, it can take you 20 minutes, so you've got the time
I
back.
love that thing that you built. I love that website thing you built with all the AI content, and it paid for itself. How many people are doing that? I mean, that's absolutely fantastic.
But, and I guess exactly to your point about the articles, it's what am I doing now that's going to be able to create value? You had the link example. How can I use this digital PR to then have value in 3, 4, 5 years? Well, I've got these tools that are charging me $40 a month. Why aren't I building a tool if I'm spending $40 on a Hootsuite or a social media scheduler and I'm not happy with it? Why aren't I building my own? Why aren't I putting something out there? And, again, if you've got the want to learn, if you've got that natural curiosity, this is like an amazing time to be in this space. And it's nothing like the media is telling us. Like, it's not just, kids are cheating on exams with ChatGPT. It's like the stories and like you're saying, the rhetoric with this is just could not be completely off what's actually happening in the AI space and what's able to be done with this amazing tech. So yeah, look, I'd say for anyone who is working a 9 to 5, I actually know how hard it is keeping up with this stuff. So if you are watching it, please follow both of us. But I'll be talking a lot more about this stuff as time goes on. I think I've got this unique background in development, in marketing, in startups, in go-to-market, in creativity, and now there's AI, and it's like, okay, holy shit, this is like the most amazing coming together of technology and creativity I've ever seen in my lifetime. So like, again, the tools are there, use it. I get really passionate and excited about this because there's bloody good reason to. So get amongst it, start using the tools for good.
Thank you so much, Rye. And where can they follow you? What's your website? Spruikdigital.com.au?
Spruik.co, nice and short for everyone. And follow along on LinkedIn, send me a request. I usually accept them all. So watch out for more content soon.
Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Rye, for your time. And
Thanks,
it's
guys.
been an absolute fantastic conversation. And I feel like we only touched the surface. So
only skimmed it.
Hopefully we can do another few more in the very near future.
Awesome. Thanks,
Andrew. For your time, Rye.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.